But as far as my personal life before I got into the space, no one else was involved in this space. I'm creating relationships and friendships that were genuine and not transactional. That was when I'm passionate about something, it's very easy for me to talk about it. So you never know what is going to come out of just being in the right space and making those connections. It is important because if I don't recharge myself, I can't pour into my clients and the work. And that is one of the things I constantly remind myself of because this is a very demanding job.
Welcome back to another episode of the Deep Dive Podcast. I'm Raisa, and today we have Ms. Theresa Hessler. Thank you so much for coming on our podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to meet.
I know, we tried to schedule this. How many times now? I don't even recall.
Goodness.
And I'm so glad that we made this happen.
Likewise.
Yes, and thank you for providing the space. Your office is so beautiful, right down in the heart of Annapolis.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm right downtown Annapolis. It's such a pleasure to be in this space. This is my 5th year in this office.
Wow.
And so to be able to host you here is just such an honor.
Yes. And Annapolis, when I was driving in, it was such a Christmas feeling. Like, I was like, it feels like you're in a Christmas movie. You know, there is snowing. There's like ribbons and Christmas lights everywhere. I was like, I'm jealous. We need to have this
you'll have
everywhere
to
in
come
Maryland.
down again for lunch or dinner. And so every winter they put together an entire market. And so each of the small businesses, there's a ton of small businesses in Annapolis. They open up the streets. They have vendors outside. People wear Christmas hats. It's just so lovely. It is like a Christmas movie.
That's wonderful. So, Ms. Therese, for people watching that do not know you and do not know what you do, please tell them what is it that you do and why you think they should watch this episode.
Absolutely. So, my name is Theresa Hessler, and I'm the CEO of Ashler Government Relations. I am a full-service lobbying firm with focus on local, state, and federal. That means that I represent clients across the board. So, might be a small business, a nonprofit, a government entity. I represent municipalities, counties, and anything in between. So most of the time, what that means, I am advocating on behalf of a business and their needs, whether it's helping with procurement, pooling, permitting, or changing a law that has been outdated or is not beneficial or could be harmful for a business or a client. And so for me, it is just really fun. I think it's a space that not a lot of people know what a lobbyist does.
Yes.
Quite frankly, before I went into government relations over 10 years ago, I didn't either. And so really learning what that is and what that entails excites me, and I'm excited to share that with everyone today.
Wow, that's interesting. And I didn't even know about this, to be honest, before we researched about you. And I just remember seeing you with a lot of like politicians, attending a lot of political events. I was like, I wonder what she does, because you're not into politics, right? But somehow you're always in these events. So tell me, how did you land this? How did you even know that this was something you could get into?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it was a lot of personal experience. And in a past life, I call, in my 20s, and what I went to school for was advertising. I majored in mass communication, thought I'd be a television broadcaster. I wanted to replace Katie Couric one day, and did go down that route. And through different journeys in my life, I got to see the divide in local and state laws. And it was really frustrating because none of them seemed cohesive. There was a big divide between county legislation and laws and state laws. And I said, this is interesting to me. And I wanted to give back. I wanted to give back to nonprofits. I had gone through a lot of personal things, and through volunteering to help with social media and the things that I really knew how to do with these nonprofits, I learned the whole world of legislation, lobbying. I had no idea what any of it was. I just really wanted to provide something that I knew. I felt very humbled by my early 30s to be at a place in life that I could give back and be providing skills that I had known. And it led me down this path where I became very passionate because I was able to see a change happen where it positively impacted people and communities within a time frame that wasn't what we might see on a federal government level, where it could take years and years and years. And so for me, that really spurred the wheels of my mind turning.
Yeah.
And ended up taking a job at one of the nonprofits, and then eventually, as an entrepreneur and business-minded woman, had to open my own firm.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's wonderful. Just for people watching, right? I want us to really break this down so they can really understand. Let's say there's a business owner out there, or just someone. When you say lobbying, break that down for us. What does that mean in terms of like what you do in politically? How do you lobby and what does it entail?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first started, a lot of people said, well, how do you go from advertising and communication into government relations?
Yeah.
It's all relationships and communication, right? And so lobbying really entails not just knowing the players in the space, whether they are your community leaders, whether they are your elected officials on a state level, a federal level, or municipal level, county level, wherever the decisions are being made politically for a client, it is up to a lobbyist to have those relationships and to be the advocate and the voice on behalf of the needs of the business or the nonprofit. So for example, a nonprofit might need to change a law that would help to create a different threshold of reporting. And they would hire a lobbyist. And if it was a state law that needed changed, during our General Assembly, which is always the second Wednesday every January for 90 days through April, they would advocate the elected officials downtown here in Annapolis on the changes that they need. They would work with drafting, create a draft bill. They would introduce the bill, and then they would push the bill. And I'm happy to get into that further. It's a very rapid but fun 90 days, but the similar process happens on a local level. So each local government has similar procedures when they're meeting, discussing regulations or legislation that they'd like to introduce. And same with municipal government as well.
Oh, wow. I see. So it's very key for a business owner to have someone, or at least to know a lobbyist that they could possibly work with, right? Just to help them with whatever is going on and try to have decisions being made in their favor. Not really in their favor, that will encourage their business, and that could also help other businesses, because that's how they get to be involved in decision making.
Absolutely. And so one of my favorite things that I heard from a client that I've now had the pleasure of working with for maybe close to 4 years now is we didn't know we needed a lobbyist until we needed a lobbyist. And it was too late. They had had a bad bill introduced and passed prior to having a lobbyist and another bad bill. It would have affected their business in a negative way. So when I say bad bill, it might be good for some people and bad for others. And it could have really had a detriment to their business in a way that their business could have closed several locations had this next bill passed. And we were able to defeat the bill 3 times. And thankfully, it hasn't come up again.
Oh, wow.
But that really through relationships and just knowing what you're talking about and being true to your word is very important to me, too. So I always like to prep myself as if I'm representing my own business for a client.
Okay. So what you said that was really interesting, where you said they had a bad bill. It will be good for some people, but then it might be bad for your business. How do they find the middle ground? And when you say we defeated it, what does that mean? Does it come back later on? Are you exempted from the bill? What does that mean?
We have noticed that 97% of you guys that watch our videos, you're not subscribed. You're not liking the videos, you're not sharing, you're not doing anything. Now, I don't know if it's that you're a silent hater, but I would assume you're enjoying the content. I would assume you're enjoying what we do. I would assume you would love to support us. You would love to see us grow. So please make sure to make sure to subscribe, especially your subscription, because it let us know that we are growing. And the more we grow, the more guests we're able to bring on the platform, the more we're able to share our experiences as podcast hosts, and the more we're able to bring you guys exquisite experience, like high level experience. So your support literally is what will build our brand. Exactly. You, the viewers, you guys looking at this. So when we ask for your subscription, we're asking for more than just, I know it's just easy, right? You're just giving, you just subscribe, but it makes a huge difference into the work that we do. And we hope to see more subscriptions moving forward. Thank you.
That's a great question. So it could mean a variety of things. There are generally people pushing for the same. So say there's a piece of legislation. There are usually opponents and proponents. And so in that example, we would have been opponents of a piece of legislation. But for as many opponents, there are equal proponents,
Yes.
right? Where the bill could benefit them in some manner. And so each piece of legislation has a bill sponsor, sometimes co-sponsors, and then they try to find key witnesses that this would be a helpful piece of legislation. And so those witnesses are always pushing for the bill, stating why this is important to pass, whereas opponents are saying this would be bad because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And you're pulling together very succinct talking points and strategies in that space to either push or oppose a bill.
Yeah.
And just because you might defeat it in one session or one county level agenda does not mean that bill cannot come back. It can come back over and over and over again. There have been bills that I've worked on that we have defeated by one floor vote
Yeah.
that very well have come back other years, and we've had to continue to push and change strategy.
Oh, wow.
And so while I wish there was exemptions, that
There is no exemptions.
Yeah, there's not.
So this is a continuous process. It might be a never-ending process where every single time, is that it? Is there like an end to it where it's like, okay, it has come back, maybe where they have like a number, right? Like if this will come back 5 times and we'll see 3 out of 5, is there an end to it? Who won? Who pushed back?
So there is, in a way, right? Depending on who the elected body is, if there are members that have been around forever and they've seen this bill defeated multiple times,
Right.
they might say there's not an appetite for this bill right now. We have no intention of moving the bill out of the committee to the bigger body to take a vote. However, as election cycles process through and you get new people might be invigorated in passion. So if they have more of a will to move a piece of legislation, the bill could come back. And a lot of times, if a bill isn't moving, it might not necessarily mean it's a bad bill on its face. It could not have the votes within the body to move it forward. And so that's really an interesting thing that I personally like to look at the numbers, knowing who has backed things in the past, whose position might have changed. And a lot of times you do meet with opponents or proponents and compromise on what you can live with, what you cannot, unless it's something that is very divisive.
I see. Okay. Wow. So let me take you back a little bit. You mentioned you were very excited about the 90 days that happens. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so the 90 days is Maryland's General Assembly, and it is a fast-paced 90 days. A lot of work happens prior to the 90 days. The 90 days is just where they have time to pass the capital budget, the operating budget, and any legislation that they are going to enact during the following year. And so when they kick off, always the second Wednesday in January, they'll have committee hearings. They will introduce all of the bills, which we get to review as they come through. Typically in Maryland, we have about 4,000 introduced between the House.
What? In 90 days?
Yes.
4,000?
It's been very close.
Oh my God.
And it depends on the year
That's a
and
rush.
what's going on. It's a lot of reading.
Yes. That's a rush.
It is a rush. It is a rush, and things move very quickly. And so each committee has a jurisdiction where there's a committee that handles health-related legislation. There's a committee that handles more of like crime and criminal laws and anything in between. And so each committee has their expertise within that space to hear topical legislation. And as the bills come up, we have witnesses come in, we have lobbyists roaming the halls all day, meeting with elected officials to make sure that priorities and important things are getting passed.
Wow. That's really interesting. In 90 days.
In 90 days. And then by that second Monday in April at midnight, we are done and then hit the ground running, planning for next year and what that looks like.
Wow. So really it's just, so in the whole year it's just that 90 days that everything gets done. I know you wait again for the next year, the same 90 days.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
And so Maryland's a part-time legislature, but we are still doing work year round, right? A lot of the good planning happens in what we call the interim, which is that space in between. So going through everything that's passed, things that didn't pass, things that got amended, and planning for important things, having those conversations when elected officials are a little quieter.
Mm-hmm.
They do have full-time jobs, a lot of them, so I don't know how they do it.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
So when it's quiet, they're back to their
they're back
full-time
to
jobs
jobs.
until election season again.
Mm-hmm. But it's more of a space where we can talk about issues and bills and things that we're working on for clients, where during that 90 days, it is really hard to have a meaningful, in-depth conversation
way,
because they have
everyone
so
is
many
busy.
things in front of them.
Yeah.
It's so busy.
I would turn my phone off.
I get it.
It's like, I don't want to talk to you. I'm too focused dealing with this. 90 days is a lot, because you have to really zone in. And that's really what shows your work. That's where you differentiate yourself. That's where you stand out. And that's where the business or whoever hired you can see your effort and see, okay, well, she's doing what she said she would do. So you have to really come through within those 90 days.
Yes. And there is a fun part at the end, too, for legislation that you have passed.
Yeah.
They have bill signings, and that's typically end of April through May. And you get to go into the State House, take pictures with the governor, the presiding officers. And so it's really proud for a lot of clients to come downtown and see that the work that they've put in and the achievement at the end of the 90 days.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's really great. So let's get to know, we've spoken about, okay, at what point would a business know that they need a lobbyist? As a business owner, for example, myself, at what point in my business journey do I sit and I'm like, maybe I should, these things are happening around me. I'm not part of the decision making. Maybe I should look into working with a lobbyist or a government relation agency.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's a little different for different businesses, right? Mm-hmm. So some businesses might need help pulling a permit. Permitting process, depending on the county, can take forever. Mm-hmm. And so lobbyists, knowing, different county officials, having their cell phone numbers, can pull the permit a little faster.
Yes.
Similar with procurement. So if you want to get involved or have your business involved in whether it's state or local government, be a part of that procurement process, creating those relationships prior to the procurement coming out is extremely important. So that's another way. Mm-hmm. And then also I would say for a lot of businesses, I mentioned you don't know you need one until you need one.
Right.
So thinking proactively, have there been roadblocks my business has faced? Would I like to see access to X, Y, and Z? Or just having a conversation with a lobbyist so I can get to know your business and maybe brainstorm on ways that we could be helpful to each other.
That's wonderful. So then you do a lot of pre-consulting, you would say, where you just look at it and be like, okay, well, this is where I can help. And this is where we can look at in the future.
Absolutely. And as far as like national trends go too, we can forecast some of the things that Maryland might be interested in on a state level, right? And things that might be coming down the pike for our 90-day session based on what the states around us are doing or states that are similar in makeup. So that's always a good way too, if you're a business owner and you have a tech company, what has passed locally, nationally, etc., because we can anticipate more than likely Maryland is going to look at something like that. Doesn't mean they're going to pass it, but just really being involved in what that national makeup looks like and how it could affect our state.
Wow, that's wonderful. Did you have anyone that was in this industry?
I did not. No, I didn't.
No mentor, nobody to show you the ropes. How?
I was smart enough to know that I wasn't the smartest person in any of the rooms and to find people that had been in this space that I didn't know before I got into the space, but I had some lovely, strong, amazing women that I had the pleasure of connecting with that I'm still friends with. Reach out, say, if you need anything, here's my cell phone number. I didn't know how to even, we used to have to file paper testimony before hearings. I didn't know where any of the committee rooms were all those years ago. Yeah. And I would be in front of a building just texting like, help.
Where do I go?
And just the kindness of other people and just some people that had great strategic brains to be like, this is how you take, your background in communication and apply it in these roles. But as far as my personal life before I got into the space, no one else was involved in this space.
God, that must have been very challenging.
It was confusing.
Wow. So what would you say is the highest challenge that you faced?
I think just creating relationships and navigating in a space where I really had no idea what I was doing when I first started. And I had dinner with I'm very close with my family and my parents. And I was like, well, how do we define a legislator in the state of Maryland? This is when I was not even working full time. So just to be clear on that, I really just wanted to understand, because before I advocate, or even when I was in advertising and comms, I had to fully understand what I was advertising before I could do it.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how my brain works. And the definition of a legislator is very different state by state. So the internet was no help, but it's just slang terminology for a delegate or a senator. So just the general knowledge and understanding what a lobbyist does, I would absolutely say was the first initial challenge. And then just creating relationships and friendships that were genuine and not transactional. They're great now, but it takes years, right? And having people know your name and your brand and what you stand for. So once that was established, and I think just maintaining that.
So with this role, right, like you mentioned, creating relationships that are meaningful and not just transactional. It's very tough because you always need them for something. So how do you do that? You know, how did you make sure that regardless of the fact that you would need them, the relationship you had with them was still meaningful, especially if at the time, let's say you placed a request that they could not do it. And then you're like, but you're my friend. How does that, you know what I mean?
I do. It's a fine line too, because over the years, true friendships are created.
Okay.
And I am lucky to have a lot of really close friendships in this space. And so it's really standing up and being there for people all the time instead of just when you need something.
Okay.
And maintaining those relationships. And it is a two-way street, right? There are things that I have clients that might be helpful to have my clients push for somebody who is not paying us, but an elected official that is introducing a bill. Like, how can I be helpful to you, right? And just outside of the work stuff, how can I be helpful as a friend? How can we all rise together and grow in this space? And that has always been important to me and will continue to be important to me.
I see. So it's not just taking, you're also giving back. You're also seeing how you can add value to their lives and their work, and so they feel the same pouring back into you.
Yes.
That is wonderful. Have you ever dealt with a hard client that just, because business owners, and they're very much like, if this is what I want, I don't care, this is what I want. And you're like, I know that's what you want, but they're like, no, Theresa, I want what I want. Tell us about the time when you dealt with a tough one.
I have dealt with some tough ones, not just in this business, but in the past. And it's navigating personalities, I think, and that is something I will say I pride myself in.
Yeah.
Because I'm more of an empath, but I am very much in a space with a lot of different personalities, and so meeting people where they are is important to me. And then having a conversation where I can take their expertise as they're the business owner, right? I don't know their business as well as they do, but I know this business well. And so if we're going to work together and be successful, they have to trust that they have retained me for the reason that they retained a lobbyist,
for the work they need.
Exactly. And to rely on my expertise. And so sometimes that's reiterating that multiple times.
Yeah.
And sometimes that there's a lot of pushback. And then there's some times where a client will ask you the same thing over and over again. And I have learned that is okay, because as a business owner myself, I understand, like, that is your baby, that is your livelihood. And so reminding, like, myself of that, how would I want someone else to treat my business, and how protective I am of that is a good check for me. So thankfully I work with amazing clients that does not happen that often, but you are navigating personalities, whether it's on the client side or the elected side, and just learning to meet people where they are at the end of the day.
Yeah. That's great. That's wonderful. That's really great. That means you very much know how to, that's your major, communications, right? So you know how to understand, listen, and then reiterate what you have to reiterate. make sure that the conversation flows smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
So someone trying to get into this industry definitely needs some great communication skills.
Yeah, I would say communication is key.
Yeah.
But also, a lot of people are shocked. I'm a little shy.
You are?
I am.
It doesn't come across.
I know.
as it.
I know.
You
hear
seem
it
very
all the time.
outgoing, like very bubbly.
I'm like an introverted extrovert. So it's kind of like both worlds, but when I'm passionate about something, it's very easy for me to talk about it.
Yeah.
Which I am very passionate about all my clients, and I am grateful to be able to do that. But it wasn't always a natural thing for me. And being able to have those authentic conversations and to know the subject material that I'm talking about really helps with that. So if that's a natural skill for somebody, they're gonna crush it in this
kill
space.
it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. So, have you ever? What is the possibility of someone getting into this industry and potentially losing money? What could happen if someone was to get in there like, well, I understand what it is, I'm interested in it, but I want to know, finance-wise, what does that look like? You know, with the current economy, is there room for growth? Is it a market that is open for people to come in, especially like if a woman wanted to join? How would they do that?
Yeah. So as far as the lobbying side,
Yes.
correct? I think there is always going to be a need for lobbyists, and it's just whatever you want to make it, right? So the way that I work, have clients on retainers annually most of the time, so monthly retainers, but then there's also clients that just have a session-based need. There's a bill that they've heard is being introduced or they'd like to be introduced. We get it done in 90 days and that's it. They move on, it's done. There's other ones that might have things come up all the time that we're monitoring, making sure no bad legislation or legislation we could support throughout the years being introduced on a county level. So I'm constantly monitoring county legislation, municipal legislation, and then state legislation. So there's always something to do in this space.
Yeah.
And it's just, if you like being out and have that business minded sense of like, oh, connecting with people and meeting different business owners or people in the government relations space, there's always room to grow and to bring on clients. The state is always hopefully going to be functioning during session, but as far as governments go, it's very stable as far as lobbyists coming in, because one of the things that we do on behalf of clients is advocate for funding in not just the capital budget but in the operating budget.
Oh, wonderful.
And so if there is a business that is in need of money or deals with different reimbursements from the state, we're fighting for their finances. And so there's a security there, and knowing that there's always a need, and that need could be different year to year or month to month, depending on what it is.
Okay. So where would they start? I want to get into,
As
let's say someone is watching and they're looking like, okay, I've heard everything Theresa has said. That sounds all really good. I think I could do this. Where do I start?
Absolutely. So I would encourage, if you're in Maryland, see if you can get an internship.
Yes.
Absolutely. There's a ton of firms. I know I'm always looking for interns, so there's
You
that.
are.
But most firms are always hiring session interns during the 90 days. We put out, whether it's connecting with different colleges in the area or just sharing with friends, like I got this application, but I don't need anybody right now, or reaching out to us directly. I've had people come knock on this door with an application in their hand.
Yeah.
And that type of tenacity and forward thinking is great because it applies very well to
That's
what we have
you
to
need.
do.
Yeah, you need.
Exactly. And so just putting yourself out there and making the connections too. So say all the internships are filled. See what community events and local political events are in your area that you could be accessible to, and show up and start working that room. It's one of the things that I did and still do. That it's relationship-based business. So you never know what is going to come out of just being in the right space and making those connections.
Wow, wonderful. So what is the future for AGR? What is the future for your baby? Where are you hoping to take this to? And do you have other interest for it? Where is it going?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the future, just continuing to grow and having more of a full team and growing in that space, it is very important to me to look at the generations that are coming up and to put my hand back and make sure that there is a hand there
Yeah.
to hold. Because I think for a lot of us, that hand was not there. And I understand it, but it's something that I am very passionate about because it is a hard space for women.
Yeah.
And it is a space that I want to make women feel comfortable, strong, and empowered,
Yeah.
not just here, but when they go home too. And so for me, really creating that team, building out that team, continuing to grow my client base in a sense where all of those clients continue to align with my brand and my passion and the name.
Yeah.
And just continuing to build and grow. I love what I do. I could see myself doing this forever.
I can
It's
tell
just fun.
the way your face
Yeah.
is lighting up. I can tell that you love what you do. I can tell. I can definitely tell. And you have a sedulous work ethic. So that is amazing. That's really great.
Thank you.
Now, how do you balance the love you have for your job with your personal time?
That's a learning experience,
Yeah.
ongoing.
Yeah.
I used to be really bad at it, and
I think I'm still bad at it.
it stays a learning experience,
Yeah,
right?
it does.
But as I shared, I am very much that person that likes alone time, and I need time to recharge. And so each year, I'm finding new ways to do that. It started and still is part. I love to be outside. I
Yeah.
love to garden. I love to be barefoot outside the second it is hot.
Look at your plants.
Yeah. It's my house
Yes.
even more.
Yes.
So the last few summers, I have a garden, multiple gardens, and I spend a lot of time in the summer taking Zooms from the garden and canning and just baking and that very in tune balance.
Mm-hmm.
And then also finding hobbies that recharge and balance me as well, since I don't have to be necessarily in a suit every day.
Yeah.
Still a lot of days in the summer, but it is important because if I don't recharge myself, I can't pour into my clients and the work. And that is one of the things I constantly remind myself of because this is a very demanding job, but it is also such a blessing to not just to have this business, but to do this work. And so I am constantly figuring that out
Yeah.
and finding new ways. But certainly it started with gardening and grounding in the earth. And there's a lot of other different hobbies that fall into
that you
that
love
as
to
well.
do.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Same here too. You know, we're all learning every day how we can balance out what we need to do while trying to grow, trying to excel. You don't want to miss an opportunity, but yet you still have to remember to take care of yourself, to take care of your mental health, to make sure that you're not overburning yourself and you're extending where you can reach without, giving up something that is really important to you. So that's amazing. And yes, it's a learning process.
It is.
What is your favorite book to read at the
Ooh,
moment?
or
that you have read in general. That was like, this book did it for me.
Oh, so this is a hard one. I love to read as much as I love plants, and I am a hardback, paperback, like hands,
You
tangible.
want to see it? No.
Girly. I have books all over my house with the plants. So, I would say, and this is probably a little cliche, but The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho and he's one of my favorite authors in general. I've read everything that I could get my hands on from him because it's not just metaphysical, but it's also applicable to real life. And my spiritual time is very important to me too. And alchemizing that balance into professionalism. And so that book, the more that I've read it, I think different takeaways come every time where on the surface it might just be a young boy's journey and coming of age and learning process. But there's so much to be applied outside of that to me. And I love books that get my mind
thinking.
Yes, exactly. And so that one, I'll take any book recommendations too.
Yes. At the moment, I've been reading this book and I've read it a couple of times this year because when I read, I'm just like you. I don't want to read fast. I want to take my time, read, see how I can apply it. It's not how fast you can read, but how much you learn from what you read, right? So, my favorite book that I've read this year has been The Diary of a CEO by Steve. It's really good. You would love his mindset. You would love how he thinks. He pays attention to details. He sweats the little things that you would not even think it's important. But in hindsight, when you look at the statistics, the studies, the psychology behind it, you're like, wait, this actually makes sense. So I've been reading that a lot. He mentions a lot of different techniques that we can apply to our businesses, to how we approach life, to how we position ourselves, right? Even like, he talked to me about sleep, how important sleep is to your productivity. He's like, I don't start my day before 11 a.m., so it's like those things. I was like, okay, this makes sense. And I really love him. So I love the book. I'll send it over to you.
Yes, please.
Yes, I think you would love it. I think you would enjoy it.
It sounds amazing.
Yes, thank you. And, what is a song that gets you going?
So I have an entire playlist. I'm a big music girl.
When you wake up in the morning, you're going to the gym, you're like, okay.
So it depends on the day and what I'm working on. I have a work playlist that can have anything from, 90s hip hop, R&B to classical music to EDM. I don't know if there's just one song that I could pick out, because it's definitely a day by day situational. It's probably something corny that just, fires me up in the right way. The song Rise is always, and I cannot remember the woman's name that sings it, but there was a few sessions that I had to listen to that on repeat to just get going, depending on what issue I'm working on. Some of them are heavy too, so I need something a little more inspirational. If I need something more like God-filled, I'll throw in some gospel.
Yeah.
So it just really
what
depends. Yeah, my playlist is all over the place, but there is one very specific for work that I will just let shuffle.
No problem. You can send them to me after this.
Will.
I will include a few, during this episode.
I will absolutely send you some.
That's wonderful. So you seem to be very balanced. You're getting there, but I feel like you're very balanced. You have your work, you have your personal time, you love gardening, you love reading, and then you have your spirituality, so you seem to really have created a world, where you have that good balance. And I must say, I'm especially biased. We have interviewed some women, we've interviewed some men, some of which are your friends, some of which work with the government. But I love interviewing women, especially that are doing something in the industry that is not common for women to be in it, because it helps us to be able to see someone in the industry that you're looking to get into. And when you listen to how they talk and you're able to say that, okay, this is a woman, I can reach out to her, I can connect with her, I can share certain things with her, I relate to her background, it helps us to be able to get into those industries. And so I really, really loved having you today on the podcast. I really loved everything that you shared. And I hope that, someone out there could benefit from this. So now tell us how we can contact you, how interns can contact you, how business owners can contact you. Give us all the details.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you again for having me on. It has been such a pleasure. I also love connecting with fellow women, strong women. And like I said, empowering other people is so important to me. So whether you're looking for an internship or just have questions to follow up, my website is ashlergr.com, and that's ASHLARGR.com, or any of my personal social handles, TM Hessler, so Instagram or anywhere else, at TM Hessler.
Yes, thank you so much. And feel free to leave your comments. She's going to be collaborated on all the episodes, everything that we put out. So everything you comment, she's going to be able to read it. We will be able to reply to it. And I hope that this was inspirational for at least one person. Again, we mentioned women, but even if you're a man trying to get into lobbying, she's going to be there. So if you need assistance, a business owner, you just never know. With businesses, you don't know what you don't know. And so it doesn't hurt to give her a call, be like, hey, I don't know if I could benefit from your services, and she can have that conversation with you. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.